So this Fireside chat talks about smart cities, and we are going to focus on the different models of financing and how important it is. And especially the focus will be on the PPP model. So, we are already running late, so rather than taking too much time, I'll come to you, ma'am, because your organization, World Bank, finance lots of things, take care of a lot of capital. So what is your sense of private participation in smart cities in terms of financing, how important it is? And is there any case study wherein World Bank is actually working on this project?
Yeah, thank you. I think public-private partnership is something that we've been talking about, I think, clearly for the last 20 years in India, but it's still to get that kind of momentum and the optimum threshold levels in India. I think it's because of the structuring of contracts, which is still a long way to go. And it's always in the favor of the public entity, the PPPs, and we have to be careful that it doesn't run into litigations, because the favor then always goes to the public authorities. So the private sector is a little bit at a disadvantage as far as PPPs are concerned in India. So I think that is something that we need to work on, and structuring the PPP contracts. And there have been some wonderful examples of PPPs across the globe which has been done successfully. And it's very innovative the way it's done globally. For example, there are examples of is a small county in US, the Quincy town, where they've done the entire infrastructure work was contracted out to a private developer. And the private developer then, does all the infrastructure, and the authority then hires it back from him. So there are various such models which we can study globally which have worked well.
Mr. Ashish, you as a CEO of Dehradun Smart Cities, you have implemented a lot of projects, and some of them are showing actual result on the ground. So how did you manage that, and how did you ensure the financial model in terms of what government is committing, and were you be able to get any support from private fund?
See, smart city, the state government and central government in all smart cities, they are giving 1,000 crore rupees, and rest whatever is the size of smart city, you have to manage from a different financial resources like PPP, CSR projects, then other government schemes, convergence, and finally you can opt also for externally aided finances. In smart cities, basically, the money which is given by the government is basically for the ABD area and some of the IT initiatives you can do in Pan City. But if you want to replicate the structure, the infrastructure, you have to go for other PPP projects. In Dehradun Smart City, we have 407 crore rupees PPP or any other thing which from where you can arrange the resources, the finances. So we have almost arranged everything. But in that, PPP is one very important thing. And sometimes it happens that there are some good PPPs and there are some bad PPPs. Actually, it is not good or bad. It is a good contract or a bad contract. So in all those finances, it is very important to have a very good contract agreement. The other thing is important is like you have to tap the opportunities available in other government resources. Like we have electric buses, so we have floated the tender, but the meantime Ministry of Heavy Industries floated the EOI for FAME scheme, so we got subsidy from there. There are like other government resources, the state government have funding for different projects like urban development projects, the Amrit has funding. So you have to basically converge. You cannot see the smart city as a silo project that you got 1,000 crore rupees you have to spend. Then this is a time, almost 4 years have gone. The mission started 4 years back, and our city is almost 2 years old SPV. This is a time when you have to really think about sustainability of the SPV. Whether this SPV, right now you have 1,000 crore, you have money, you will spend it. But what will happen after 1,000 crores are spent? So this is a time when you have to do capacity building of the line departments who can take care of your infrastructure, what you are developing. Also, you have to start assessing how much money you are getting after investment of a single penny in smart city.
Right. Ma'am, as he is mentioning about that, there has to be optimal use of money, whatever it is there, and then it has to be a funnel. But there was one question which he raised that in terms of the managing the money, I mean, you as a smart city CEOs are not actually taking care of the project, but you are also a wealth manager. I mean, 1,000 crore, more than 1,000 crore rupees you are managing. That means you have to have that sort of neck. From your assessment, how do you look at it? Do you feel the kind of people who are managing smart cities across our country, do they have that sort of capacity to understand, to implement?
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to comment on the quality of the CEOs, but typically a CEO of the smart city has to have an overall, 360-degree dimension, and wealth management, of course, is a very important aspect. But I think that it's also about how much of freedom that you give the smart city CEO. You know, I mean, if he's just going to be reporting to the municipal commissioner, or then, and if he doesn't have any autonomy to operate, just like municipalities themselves don't have autonomy. So where is the fiscal decentralization today? Where is the revenue raising capacities of municipalities? They are still constrained. Most of the MCs in India, if you all agree with me, we are running into negative surplus. So they are really cash trapped at the moment. So we need to really give them innovative options of raising finances. So that freedom has to be given to both municipalities as well as the CEO of smart cities. So typically, I think it has to be an escrowed account where he also has the liberty to raise resources on his own through various innovative methods like bonds and user fees, dedication requirements. There are so many ways in which he can mobilize revenues, given the freedom, given the financial autonomy.
Right. So. The initial scheme of things, sir, when it was envisaged in 2005, the idea was to have 45% from central government and rest of them from state, from various resources, including the PPP bonds. I mean, how do you look at municipal bond being used for financing a smart cities project? How practical those are in an economy setup that we are in?
Municipal corporation is like they have 50% share in SPV. But in practicality, what happens that I think everywhere where the municipal commissioner is not CEO of smart city, like the smart city is treated as a separate entity from municipal corporation. Most of the time they think the money which is given to municipal corporation cannot be given to SPV. Therefore, there should be a mechanism like, suppose smart city is helping municipal corporation is in improving the collection of property tax, or like water SCADA, so that the non-revenue water is reduced. So whatever benefit you are getting out of that investment, you should actually, the municipal corporation or the any other line department should have a formula to share that with a smart city, because the smart city's intervention has increased that revenue or dividend. So that we are doing in Dehradun smart city, like if we are doing something good for water supply department, so after this much improvement, whatever revenue you are realizing, how much you are going to give us, because the SPV should be run like a company. It should not be like any other government department, whether you are getting the budget allocation and you are spending that budget based on certain schemes. Another very important thing, like you have told about the municipal bond, one thing which we are also trying is very important to tap the resources of externally aided projects. Because most of the time the state government or the central government go for improvement of civic infrastructure through externally aided project. Why not those projects should be actually routed through a smart city? Because after implementation of a smart city, one thing has actually improved the interdepartmental coordination within the city limit. So that has the SPVs have done that thing. I think most of the SPV have achieved this thing. So that can be done, and I think the municipal bonds are, whatever benefit you are getting, the tagline should be whatever benefit you are giving through the investment of a special purpose vehicle, then you have to return at least some of the benefits to the SPB, so that SPB should start generating the revenues rather than becoming like another government department.
Last question I'm asking you, from the World Bank point of view, if you have invested in any smart city, how has been your experience when you compare the project that wherein you are investing and possibly you have done something, same sort of thing in a different geography altogether?
Yeah, I think in India, it's still a lot of legislative constraints and a lot of administrative constraints are there for any smart city solution to be innovative, you know. So we've tried a lot of experiments in Latin American countries and it's been very successful. Like just the value capture instruments. In India, we are still talking of only TDRs and TDRs has been successfully done only in Mumbai. I don't think any other city has been able to replicate that concept of TDR. And Latin American countries have very successfully used these betterment contributions and certificates of development potential. These are certain instruments which they very innovatively try to tap the, from urban to rural. When there's a conversion from urban to rural, there's a 400 times appreciation in land value. So why not capture that, value capture should be done so that it is used for the betterment of the city itself. So that is something that we are still talking about in India, but it's still ahead of its time. So such things, I think, the government and administrative body should be able to facilitate such innovations. So like the Dehradun CEO just mentioned, that it's about the multiplicities of agencies. So we need, all the agencies have to talk to each other. So something like a convergence framework has to be taken forward.
Absolutely. Sir, as a CEO of Dehradun Smart City, I mean, you are implementing different projects. Do you have any, have you ever come across any best model of actually financing your cities? I mean, something which could be a template for other smart cities to use. What could be the best model? What could be the best optimal use of taking money from government, from private organization?
This cannot be a one fit model for everyone. It depends on city. But yes, definitely, you have to first, as a CEO of a smart city, you should actually know these are the different revenue resources from where you can get money. And then you start talking to them, formulate the projects based on the requirement of that particular scheme. And one thing is very important, you should be very much, open to the ideas. Sometimes it happens that, no, I have these many 5 projects I have to implement, I am implementing it, okay, my work is finished. So this should not be actually done. You have to have a mechanism where you can assess the ideas, submit the projects to the department, whether it is in a private sector or in a government sector or any other agencies, but make a comprehensive plan for that. It should not be like a firefighting thing, now I have this problem, now I want the money for that. So that should not be done.
Thank you so much for being such a wonderful panelist. We are running short of time, so I'm just wrapping up. Thank you so much. Thank you.